How's it going? Thank you. Okay. Well, listen, good morning, everyone, or actually good afternoon. My name is Joey Mendoza Atkins, and I am running to be your next commissioner for the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Now, I have a feeling, because this is what I experience kind of out and about, most people don't really know what it is that the Department of Agriculture does, or how it affects your daily lives. And I think most people, when you think about it or when you understand, it's quite surprising about how this position and this role, this department, touches everybody's lives. And the way I think about it is that the department stands for, or at least should stand for, about 3 core pillars. And the way I remember it is food, farms, and firearms. All right? Food, farms, and firearms. And listen, I'm a lifelong Floridian. I'm an attorney, I'm a sports agent, and probably what my parents are still the most proud of is the fact that I was a college quarterback. Nevertheless, my entire career, I've been tasked with defending everyday people from powerful, larger interests, organizations, groups. And that's what I will do and will continue to do in this role as the Agriculture Commissioner. You see, the department, as many of you may be aware, is failing to do what it's supposed to do. Right? It's failing, it really is. One of the reasons, and primarily the reason why they're failing, is because at the end of the day, the commissioner and the department itself, they are not standing up for everyday Floridians. They have completely sold out to corporate monopolies, special interest groups, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take away or make sure Tallahassee isn't some private club for corporate monopolies, but rather it's the home field of everyday working class Floridians. Thank you.
So the first question is going to be, as the Agriculture Commissioner, you directly oversee the Florida Forest Service, which is the state's lead agency for wildlife protection. With numerous recent Florida wildfires, what ideas do you have to control wildfires to protect both our agricultural lands and rural communities?
It's a great question. I suspect it's this black and white dog up here looks like that had that question. I understand. So, and I was making eye contact with me, a little disappointed. So listen, here's the thing. We can talk, there are specific things that we can do, right? What I'm going to say might be, it might seem that it's a bit more maybe ambitious or perhaps even cynical. The problems that we are experiencing, right, are structural in nature, right? In other words, the foundation of our political system in terms of how this department acts is hamstrung by special interest groups, right? So sometimes people ask me, it's like, okay, so this, something like protecting the forest and dealing with wildfire, it's gonna be expensive.
That's your time, thank you.
Oh. We'll talk later.
Second question, small-scale agriculture. Many small-scale local farms struggle to compete with large-scale agribusinesses. What specific programs or policy initiatives would you prioritize to help small-scale Florida farmers access new markets and maintain economic viability?
Great. Try to answer this. 30 seconds. Okay. So I want to expand this initiative that many of you heard of, especially here in Hernando County, which is the idea of ensuring and bringing local farmers, producers, growers to the forefront. So to make sure that our public schools, if there anything that's state funded, public schools, prisons, detention facilities, anything that's receiving state funds, and providing food of any sort, that it is local Florida producers and farmers who get the first right and a guaranteed seat at the table in terms of allowing their products to be consumed and utilized by any institution whatsoever that's taking state funds. We're talking millions and millions of dollars being poured and funneled back to the local governments or local producers instead of the mega corporations.
Thank you. Third question, how do we secure the agriculture sector in Florida for future generations?
We have to have common sense policy in terms of how are we going to protect local farmers and landholders from agribusiness? How are we going to ensure that to the extent that the legislature protects and adds land that is going to be part of preserve, how it doesn't get somehow funneled and pushed into the hands of agribusiness and special interests? It is going to be a comprehensive structural change in the department that is necessary to ensure that it is local Floridians that have the first right to rural lands, rural food, and to be access to the markets.
Thank you. And then now 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Thank you. And again, thank you so much for everybody for being here. It's funny because when I was a kid, my aunt and uncle lived in Brooksville, and this would have been 20 plus years ago when I first came here. I think I was 7 years old for Thanksgiving, and I later returned here, sometime, maybe a few years ago or so, because I do, as an attorney, a lot of my clients are actually based in this part of the state. And when I realized I was in Brooksville, I called my mom and I said, did Nana live in Brooksville? Because this is a completely different place than I remember. And so I think a lot of people here would understand probably what I mean better than I do. And I was kind of, I was really shocked about the changes that are going on here. And change isn't necessarily bad, it's just how it's changing and which stakeholders are involved in sort of creating the change. So, at the end of the day, when you look at the challenges facing Floridians in Florida generally, to me, this isn't like a partisan issue. It's not a Republican, Democrat, NPA. No matter how much the political class or the corporate class tries to have these red herrings to sort of distract us from the issues, while they simultaneously dismantle the structures and institutions that are meant to protect us, and on the other hand, give these powers to these special interest groups, right? This is what we've been seeing, right? So I'm going to fight that. You see, for me, our motto for this campaign is protect and preserve. Protect Florida families from price gouging so they can have an affordable way of life. Protect local governments, local landholders, local farmers. Protect our natural resources. Preserve our heritage, preserve our identity, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna go to Tallahassee to fight to make sure that the American dream isn't simply a fantasy, or God forbid, a nightmare that it seems to be becoming. And I'm going to make sure that our heritage and our identity and our way of life as Floridians isn't simply ancient history. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. Next, we're on to